Recording in the Old City Radio Studio, this is the Living in Clarity podcast. My name is Brandon Fisher. This is Coach Ratner. And today we have special guest Ben Rand.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see everybody. Good to be with you guys.
Welcome to the show.
So excited to have you.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's exciting, huh?
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while and finally got you. It's so easy to get. But tell us about yourself.
So, again, thank you for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. Heard a lot about you guys. Seen the videos. Everything's exciting. Things are like moving in the old city in Jerusalem. So I'm very excited to be with you.
No one calls us boring, put it that way. Not yet, at least.
Listen, you guys are not boring. It's exciting. The name, the Living in Clarity podcast, all amazing stuff. So again, appreciate to be on here. My story, I've shared it with one of you guys at least one time, but basically my family's Israeli. I grew up Israeli in Bergen County, New Jersey. Shout out to all the Bergen Countyers out there.
Yay, New Jersey.
New Jersey, we
Devils.
love you. We love you, Jersey. Devils, yeah, the New Jersey Devils are out there. They're the last remaining New Jersey professional team. We miss you, New Jersey Nets. Please come back to New Jersey. So I grew up in New Jersey, Bergen County. Typical conservative Jewish boy growing up, playing a lot of basketball. I was a big basketball player. And then went to Solomon Schechter Day School. Whole family kind of went to Jewish day schools until I guess later in high school, where I went to Fairlawn High School.
It's public school?
Public school, yep. And then from there, I was kind of like played basketball my whole life. Went to college, worked in Manhattan finance for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm a CPA, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I am a CPA.
That's so not exciting. Sorry.
It is not exciting.
By the way, I want you to know that they can't find the CPAs.
What does that mean?
They can't. I was at my CPA's office in Bethesda last week and went to America. They can't hire young people. There's like no one to hire.
Why? Nobody's doing it?
No one's doing it. No one wants to do it.
It makes sense for the record.
Yeah.
It's not the most exciting job. They get you with, it pays well, it's a good career, blah, all the good stuff. And it is a good career for all you guys, young guys out there
who are doing it.
Who want to study your tuchus off. It's a good career. It's a solid base.
Tuchus means tushy, by the way.
Tushy career. Tuchus.
But
in Yiddish, correct?
Yeah.
Of course, Yiddish.
Of course.
The Yiddishkites. And then once I got my CPA, worked in Manhattan for about 6 years in the financial field. And then I was just not too connected to my work-life experience in Manhattan.
You weren't being fulfilled by your job, you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. It was job and also Manhattan culture.
Yeah.
I just wasn't feeling whole there.
Can you tell us more about what that was like?
Yeah.
What was the Manhattan culture? Where in Manhattan were you living?
I was living on 14th and 2nd for 6 years, which is in Union Square.
Yeah.
The heart of Manhattan.
Yeah, it is.
Just like we're in the heart of Israel right now. We're like, feel like it's a little world, Jerusalem. I was in the heart of Manhattan. And life there felt like it was collegey, plus now you're going to a 9 to 5 every day.
Yeah.
Did you go to NYU?
I actually went to the University of Delaware.
Delaware, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, shout out to the Hens. Shout out to the Hens out there.
The Hens.
Yeah, the Fighting Blue Hens. Woo!
Tax-free state, too.
Tax-free, right? It's Joe Biden state, right?
It's also where the banks are headquartered in Wilmington. Every bank in America, I think, is headquartered in Wilmington.
That is true. That is because it's a tax. There's no sales tax. So every corporation's headquarters, like you said, is in Delaware for that reason.
Yeah.
And actually, you see a lot of small companies also just have like a mailing address.
I think when I formed my company like 30 years ago, we thought about doing it in Delaware. I don't know what happened. We didn't do it, though.
I mean, the idea is, a lot of even rappers talk about why is my company in Delaware, but like because of the no sales tax, like during college, you'd go to like a fast food chain. I wasn't keeping kosher at the time, and $1 at the fast food chain would be $1 at the fast food chain.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Now $1.06, 7 cents, $1 is $1. Can I be like my friend? Can I borrow $1? That's all I need because I think you're going to get some food. But yeah, going back to Manhattan lifestyle was college again. Plus, you're waking up for a job. So all my friends from college went to Manhattan, and it was just like it was a party scene. Plus, you had to wake up and go to work. That's what it felt like. So I did that for first 2 years. You're in the scene, and then you start moving up in your job. And then after a couple of years, I just didn't really connect to the cultural style of like that your job is your life kind of concept.
That's who you are. First question you ask someone when you meet someone at the bar, What do you do?
What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? How much do you make?
Defines you as a person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, I would wake up Monday mornings, try not to be hungover at all from like the Sunday football or something
Sure.
like that. And then I would go to work. And truthfully, I felt guilty at work because I would feel not whole. That's like the truth about it. I would go to work Monday mornings, again, slightly hungover. And I would ask myself, like, what am I doing with my life?
I have a question. Were you like in your late 20s at this point?
Mid to late 20s, yeah. It's probably like 25, 26.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
When you started realizing.
Yeah. When the cycle started getting to a point where I'm like, what am I doing? I've done this since college. Now we're all doing it in Manhattan. Everybody from college is in Manhattan. Plus all the schools are now together. And you have now money in your pocket. So it's like, where is this going? You know? I don't know if you guys know the movie The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Right? Leonardo DiCaprio.
Don't watch. It's not a kosher show.
Do not watch the movie. Honestly, it's all about Shmiras Hainayim. You do not need to see the movie. So
It means guarding your eyes.
Yeah.
guarding your eyes, exactly. As we learn in our yeshiva that we learn here. Shout out to Eshet Torah. But what the movie is about, a sales broker, a stock sales broker, who goes from being a stock sales broker in one day to being the best sales guy in like the world, and he's making like I think like $1 million a week in a company, and then grows to be one of the biggest companies on the stock exchange.
Yes.
And so the whole movie is about this guy, and he goes from like this, you can call it a professional sales guy, to be like this ultimate party mode, endless like Wolf of Wall Street style. So at one point, I was called the Wolf on.
Oh, you were?
At one point, my friend called me the Wolf. At one point, colleague.
You probably weren't the only one in Manhattan called the Wolf.
Yes, you just feel so good when you get called the Wolf.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you love the name?
Yeah. I'm the Wolf. Like one guy even put a picture in my cubicle of like the Wolf going like this in one of the scenes.
Yeah.
So it's like fun to see it. But then at some point, again, you go through these cycles and you're like, where's this going? Like, what am I doing? And then at some point you get to the point where I turned 27, and I started also working part-time with my father in real estate. My father's been doing real estate for like 30 years now.
Mostly in Newark?
Mostly in Essex County, New Jersey. Newark being the largest county or largest city in the county, and also the largest city in New Jersey. Shout out to the Newarkers out there if you're listening. And so he's been doing it for 30 years in Essex County, and I started working with him part-time because after 2008, he went by himself, alone. He used to work for a big, large company. And then once I hit 27, all this like Manhattan lifestyle and like just came like crashing down on me, where I said, you know what, I need a break from this. And
Was there a trigger to that?
the trigger was I was very overwhelmed with my financial consulting job.
Was it depression?
Definitely layers. If looking back, layers of depression, which you can argue that there's a lot of that in Manhattan.
Yes, it's from not having a healthy lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not having a healthy lifestyle, not sure where the direction is going. There's like this rat race mentality where you're like waking up every day and you're like running to work.
Right.
I have to please my boss.
Right.
Yeah.
They're all trying to make the first unit. And I know Wall Street, if you know that lingo, it means $10 million. That's what their first thing. Then as they get older in their 30s and 40s, how many units do you have? How many units do you have?
Wow.
That's how they talk in New York.
I mean, it's because that's the style. It's like the culture is it's driven by money. Let's just be honest. I mean, you can say that's the whole world, but in Manhattan, it's heightened.
Yes, intensified.
Yeah, very heightened. Yeah. So from there, so I left my job, started working with 27. Left my job, started working with my father part time. Also joined a Mexico tech company. Which we were working with Google at the time. It was a very cool experience. I was their CFO, and we were trying to create like a Instagram meets augmented reality meets all local businesses where they can pull in customers from outside. So it was like the advanced version of Groupon, if you remember Groupon.
Yeah.
Sounds wild.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. I got to be in Mexico for like 6 months. It was like really awesome, and then working with my dad. And then eventually that kind of, the company I just started working with my dad full time from there. So for the last 5 years, I've been working with my father full time. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And COVID was the reason I'm standing in front of you guys, or sitting in front of you guys now right now, is because of COVID. COVID was the catalyst for me that made me start questioning from what am I doing in Manhattan to what's going on in this world. Right?
Yeah.
So from one point of view, there was a health crisis, right? Of course, like there was coronavirus. It was
A pretty big pandemic.
pretty big pandemic. It was the entire world was shut down, so it was huge, I would say, right? And my sister runs a hospital in Manhattan, so from one point of view, we were hearing, like, besides the media, we were hearing the daily kind of counts of what's going on in the hospitals.
Wow.
So it was very sad, from one point of view. So in the beginning, definitely, and throughout, it was like that was another kind of like depressing time, if you will, right? Besides the health crisis, you're quarantining at home.
Sure.
And you're not getting like a lot of social interaction like we're having now. So besides health crisis, I also saw a lot of the political climate and the social media climate that was going on. And I just started observing more during the time because there was nothing else to do, to be honest with you. Besides maybe go to your kitchen and watch some Netflix, So after you watch every Netflix show, you're like, what else is there to do? And then I just started watching it, and it felt to me like there was like a war of like a battle of good and evil in this world going on, where like at one point you're being told to stay at home and 15 days to lower the spread, and then the 15 days turned into 2 years, and then the whole crisis that was going on with the election in America with Joe Biden versus Donald Trump.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter protests.
And all the protests going on at the same time. So it was just like a very intense time to be at home with your family and see your family, only family members 24 hours a day. And at some point, they just don't want to talk to you about certain subjects. So
Especially if you're not on the same political spectrum as they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. 100%.
That happened all over the world, by
It
the way.
was so divisive.
Very divisive.
Yeah.
I mean, like I talk about in my marriage class, divorce by Trump was a big thing in America. One of the number one causes of divorce during his
Oh my gosh.
campaigns. Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
never heard that.
because people are not all on the same page about him. If you're not, it's very divisive. It's not like, oh, he's okay. No one says that. Like they either hate him with their lies or like they love him. There's no middle ground with him.
Wow. A divorce by Trump is the first time I heard that.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, to be
Right.
quite honest with you. Because it was the most polar I've ever seen my world around me.
Yeah.
Where, yes, you're home and everybody's on their group chats kind of like arguing, saying this is what I think, this is what I think, and nobody is satisfied with any answer, and the kind of like no peace through the quarantine time, if you will. Yeah.
Okay, we got to move on because I know we're living all the time with you. So trying to fast forward a little bit.
Fast forwarding, so now, so basically, again, COVID happened, so I had more of like a spiritual journey. I said, let's go start praying to God again, to Hashem. And once I did that, all these things started kind of magically happening in my life when I opened up Torah again.
Where did you go to do that?
I went to my local synagogue.
Which was?
It's the local Chabad.
Okay.
Yeah. Local Chabad my family goes to for like 20 years now at this point. And opened up the Chumash, started reading the Parsha Shavua. And then magically these things started happening in my life, like a spiritual, like awakening, if you will.
Maybe clarity? Could that be the word? Can we say that word? Clarity?
Clarity. I mean, can we say it together on the count of three?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Clarity.
Clarity started happening in my life once I opened up the Bible, the Torah again, the Old Testament, any way you look at it. And then from there, somehow I was pulled to Israel and came to Israel to see family and friends.
Yeah.
And then my rabbi goes, Ben, if you're going to go to Israel, you're having this spiritual journey, why don't you go to yeshiva? I said, Rabbi, I'm over 30 years old.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think yeshiva is going to possibly do for me? Ben, please give it a chance. Go for a day, go for 2 days. I said, Rabbi, for you, I'll go.
Was it for the Chabad rabbi or another rabbi?
This was Rabbi Yudin from Fair Lawn. Shout out to Rabbi Yudin if you're listening or know him. He's a big tzaddik in Fair Lawn. Really, held and built the entire, I would say, modern Orthodox community in Fair Lawn, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a big guy, actually. The directors here at Aish know him. Really awesome. Big tzaddik. So he sent me to Aish Torah, and then I came for 3 days and stayed for 8 months.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm sitting in front of you awesome people, and we're having this beautiful podcast on clarity. Can we do it on 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, 3.
Clarity.
Beautiful.
So that got you to get involved, because we want to talk before you go about the Israel Alliance.
Yes.
So how did that happen?
So throughout this whole awakening process for me, I just started reconnecting to who I am. This happened, I'd say, a lot of my spiritual journey, especially coming to Israel, where I came to Israel, and also during America, where you start, like I said before, I was under the impression that the world was this peaceful, beautiful, amazing, happy place. My parents spoiled me my whole life. Everything is good.
Yeah.
And then COVID comes, and then I come to Israel, and everything seems to be the opposite. And so I decided, with all my kind of experience in the last 2 years, I had to get a little involved with politics in the state of New Jersey, that they were teaching me how to make events and kind of like bring people together and with positive messaging. So I said, if I could do it in New Jersey, why don't I do it also for Israel? So we created this nonprofit called the Israel Alliance Network. And the whole goal of the network is to connect professionals with Israel. That's the main ikr, the main point of the network. So I believe that a lot of the spotlight in general on Israel is kind of like poorly shadowed sometime in the media. So I felt like, we all have to take certain initiative, and this is my initiative to try to connect people in a positive light to Israel.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
What's the void that it's filling? I'm happy to be working on the project with you, but I was wondering if you could share just a little bit on what the void that we noticed was.
Beautiful. So the main thing that had this came about was that, again, during Corona, we were quarantining. So what I noticed people need to do after in this post-COVID era is to start being more together, coming to social events, networking events. And the main goal of Israel Alliance is to rebuild community. That's the main goal. Simple. Rebuild community in a professional environment. We always get some awesome speakers, like on March 14th, you're actually going to get Coach Radner speaking, which is very exciting. He's going to teach about success and leadership. It's very, very exciting. And, we've been very lucky and fortunate, B'ezrat Hashem, to be successful in a couple of events we've had. We've had an event in Tel Aviv, downtown Tel Aviv. We brought 40, 50 young professionals from the tech world, talked about kind of like growing businesses that are happening, had some food, of course, had some great speakers. Then we had another event in Manhattan a couple months ago.
Really?
Yeah, with Aish Torah, actually.
Okay.
And we talked about Israel in New York. Especially this happened after the, if you guys remember, this was, another kind of point. This was after kind of a lot of the social media was kind of putting, I would say, Israel down. There were some celebrities that were making some comments. So we came in, had a beautiful event.
Just a little bit. I mean, it was harsh.
Yeah. Listen, we're just going to call it out. Obviously, it was...
No one calls out Afghanistan or Syria or not, like none of these celebrities are calling out like North Korea, or there's so many other countries, Russia, they can call out, but they just always pick on Israel.
Even if they are calling out the other ones, it's still and Israel.
Yeah,
I agree. Totally. I just think that, like, listen, I think people are people at the end of the day, and I think deep down all human beings are good people, except when you have these very large platforms and huge followings, I think you have a big responsibility. And your responsibility is you have to know that you have millions and millions of people following you, and to get up there and say some negative, hateful speech about any human culture, any race is wrong.
I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That hate, that this is the one place where it's acceptable.
I agree. I think that in my opinion, hate needs to be called out all the way. Because and that's the only way to balance out energy is one energy says something, you have to call it out hard and until like you can calm down the situation.
Yeah.
Obviously violence is like completely like not okay at all. But from a point of view of like oral speech, you have to know that if you have a large following in this world, you have to be responsible with what you say, because you're influencing a lot of people and you don't want to cause any harm to anyone.
I think it's amazing what you're doing. I think anytime you can spread positivity and love, not hate, throughout the world, I think it's a great program.
Amen.
Yeah, calling out the bad energy and giving people a source to connect to, an organization, a program, an alliance, a network.
What do you see if you could say, okay, this is my short-term goal, long-term goal? What do you see if you can see success for Israel Alliance Network? How do you see it in 5-10 years?
We need to be able to connect to the entire world who supports Israel in a supportive way. Whoever wants to be a friend of a highly successful young country, and within 74 years built one of the strongest infrastructure of technology world, medical world. Israel is a huge resource for the world in terms of professionalism all around, with some of the most companies on the NASDAQ outside of just the U.S. companies.
In China, yeah.
In China.
Yeah.
So
China does have 1.4
Yeah, they have a
billion
lot more people than Israel.
And there's like, 10 million people here.
Right.
It's not even 1% the size. In fact, the amount of, let's just say, Jews in the world, when they did the last Chinese census in 2020, there was a margin of error of 2%. So there's 28 million people missing in China, which means there's twice as many people missing in China
than there are Jews
in the world.
Wow.
That shows you how small a number, and less than half the Jews are living here. So the other 3 million in Israel is, Arabs, Christians, Muslims.
Yeah.
Druze.
It's kind of crazy that, actually, it's funny. I asked a coworker in New Jersey that was politically, I was involved in some work with. I asked one of the colleagues there, so I asked this lady, I said, how many Jews do you think there are in the world? And, her response to me, a lot. A lot of you guys always seem to be involved with money. I said, okay, so could throw out a number. Like, how many Jews do you think in the world? She says, 150 million Jews.
Yeah.
And I said, what if I told you that there's only 15 max or 16 million Jews out there? And she goes, her mind was just blown right there on the spot.
You go ask someone in like India or Nepal how many Jews, they're going to say, 1.5 billion, because, Israelis travel the world after they do their army service.
That's true.
And people think there's so many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Israelis here, there's Israelis here.
And you go to Miami, you think there's like, hundreds of millions of Israelis.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny that Israelis feel the need to like leave here so often. One of the goals I feel like of also Israeli Alliance is Israelis and people who support Israel. It's okay to come home. It's okay to be home in your own home.
There's in America called the IAC.
Yeah.
Right, which is the Israeli American Committee or conference. I'm not sure. They hold events in America, but I think one of the reasons why Israelis leave, and I now live here, I can see why. I can't go anywhere without. I can't go. I mean, I guess I could drive to Jordan, but it's not. Am I going to go drive to Amman, Jordan? Am I going to go drive to Lebanon or Syria or Egypt? Now, I know people do, but like, I'm not going to be so comfortable doing that.
Wait, but where did you ski this winter?
I skied in Italy.
And how easy was it to get there?
I still had to fly. Like,
yeah, but it's easy.
Yeah, but like, it's a small country. And like, I can drive to Canada. I can drive to Mexico. Like, not that I'm going to drive to Mexico, but I guess I would.
No one does that.
No one does that. Everyone flies. Because it's a long way. Yeah. It's just, it is a little, it's my opinion. It's a little confining. That's all.
It can feel that way.
Yeah.
So the goal of the Israel Alliance Network would be to at least give people a reason to connect to it and an importance. That connection.
Right. Reconnect to your roots. I mean, that's the main thing. People, again, in the media, I feel like out there does a good job making Israel look bad. The goal is to connect people with Israel. And in 5-10 years, where I see it is we build a very large network, and just with people having access to resources of Israel.
I want to ask you something a little off topic, not quite off topic, but like you grew up in somewhat of not quite a religious home, a secular home, I would say, right?
Actually, conservative. My parents are religious now. Just
yeah. Oh, so you know they weren't when you were younger.
They weren't. Last 20 years, my mom has been pretty religious.
Okay, so you started to become more observant, I should say.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you come from a guy who's eating at restaurants in New York, now coming to Israel to yeshiva? What is it about it that gives you pleasure? What is it that you're learning? Tell me some more about, in depth, what is so great about being here?
What was the comment about food? What was that comment?
Eating not kosher food in New York.
Gotcha. Look, the transition here, I'm Israeli,
Yeah.
as I was saying. So coming home to Israel for me is home, no matter what. Coming to yeshiva is a whole new environment. So the yeshiva environment for me was a reconnection to my roots. That's exactly what it was. So the feeling in the beginning, because I wasn't religious only until maybe the last 2 years where I started keeping Shabbat again.
Right.
But it's been a big transition journey where, like, in the beginning, you feel like you're getting sucked in to a system, like a wormhole. You're getting sucked in. You're getting sucked in until you say to yourself, you know what? Actually, this is, not bad at all. This is exactly where I feel comfortable. In general, as a Jewish person. However, it's that, like, once you hit that, like, rubber meets the road, where, like, you have to kind of give up that idea where it's a negative pull. And that's when you realize that it's actually all positive for you all the way through.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've enjoyed this journey.
Unbelievable. I mean, I feel like in Aisha Torah, I feel like Aisha's like rejuvenated my soul.
Would you recommend to any of your friends living in New Jersey, New York, that they who are in their 20s and 30s, that they should come to yeshiva?
Absolutely. First, I'm going to say to anyone listening to this podcast, any young person who has some confusion after COVID about this world, my first message would say, don't be scared of who you are. Follow your gut, and your gut usually ends up being the exact right move for you. Second, when saying who you are, is a lot of these ideas come from reconnecting to your roots. If you're able to reconnect to your roots, to your tradition, to your culture, whatever that may be, I would say that would help you gain a lot of clarity in this world. Clarity on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Clarity!
And lastly, yes, for all the I would say secular Jewish men out there who know inside that they are Jewish and deep down want to stay traditional, Aisha Torah is the best place I've ever experienced in my life that helps you reconnect to who you are. It's in front of the Kotel, the Western Wall. It's right in the heart of Jerusalem in the Old City. And you have these fine gentlemen here hanging out here with all the great rabbis here, the Rebbeim. Shout out to all the rabbis. You guys are amazing. And I would say Aisha Torah, if you can, definitely get here, at least to see the view at the rooftop of it.
Just for a few days. They can come just for a few days, right? No one's locking you into anything.
Just for a few classes, and stay for a couple hours.
I came for one class, stayed for lunch, and I've been here 8 years.
That's usually the stories around here, guys. People come here for like 1 hour class, and they're just like, whoa, where has this information been? And that's what happened to me.
Yeah, and all facets.
All facets.
It touches on your whole life.
You're literally like every puzzle or piece that you're like don't have in your life that you're wondering like why you don't feel whole. The content here at Aisha Torah, with Coach Radner as one of the referees here, one of the wizards here, I would say, is amazing. So please, if you can, come.
I like that. There's a lot of wizards over here.
We had this idea that
we're not going to turn you into a chicken. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're not. Just to comment on the idea here of what it means a wizard. When I came to Aisha Torah, I was like, what is going on here? I think this is like the most insane environment ever, like in a positive way. Like everybody here is so happy everywhere they're going. Like where's this energy been my whole life?
Yeah.
So
we call it Jewish crack.
So I compared it to to Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So where in Harry Potter in Hogwarts, right? Yeah. The school of Hogwarts. Everybody's seen Harry Potter. If not, watch the first movie at least. So the idea of Hogwarts is you have all these young magicians or people with power that don't know how to maintain or manage their power. So they go to Hogwarts. They come to Hogwarts, and then you have these wizards in Hogwarts that help the young guys know how to maintain their power.
This is a great analogy. So I got to use this.
So I started saying, I was like, this is Hogwarts. And then who are the wizards? The wizards are the rabbis. And I was like, sometimes you have these top-notch wizards.
Yeah.
And the young guys are trying to find out how to maintain their power. And our power is our energy, honestly. That's our power. Our power is the energy you're trying to put out there to the world.
Yeah, that's a great. I've thought about that so many times. It's very clear who Dumbledore is. Rabbi Berkeley.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, we have a top-notch Rosh Yeshiva here in Aisha Torah. If you get even a minute of his time, you'd be very fortunate to get wizardry type of knowledge and experience. Just like being around a gadol like that it changes you as a human being, big time. So if you get an opportunity ever to be in front of a great rabbi in today's world, or even a great spiritual leader, anyone out there, I highly recommend taking the initiative and getting out of your comfort zone a little bit if you can.
It's been amazing to have you on our show. It's been amazing to be learning with you at Aish, to be working on the Israel Alliance together, and there's so many more projects. I'm excited to see where we go and where you go.
Amen, guys. It's really great to be on with you guys.
Love having you. Love having you. It's
Thank
great.
you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Living in Clarity podcast.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Living in Clarity podcast.
If you enjoy what you just heard, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment with any suggestions for future episodes.
We'll see you next time.